Over 20 African countries congregated in Nairobi to celebrate and participate in the Inclusive Africa Conference 2024. The This That podcast by Include 360 was live at this year's event. Host Alan Herbert had the pleasure of sitting down with several remarkable participants to This That about the conference. Enjoy this episode and do not forget to subscribe. Now, over to Alan Herbert. Yet again, we are back with another episode of the This That podcast here at the Inclusive Africa Conference. This is Include 360, where we say all voices, all the time. I am your host, Alan Herbert, and I am joined by an amazing gentleman who is going to be introducing himself in a little while. But one thing I know about him, he is an astute business person, so he's going to be sharing the wisdom, the nuggets, and how the journey began. And those hard conversations in boardrooms, how does he navigate them? Without further ado, sir, kindly introduce yourself and karibu sana.
Right, so thanks a lot. My name is Nzoma Bituka. To start with, I'm a human being.
Yeah.
It's important to say that.
Yeah.
A Kenyan citizen, been around for the last around 45 years. Currently a PhD candidate.
Yeah.
Focusing on the area of innovation, sustainability, and entrepreneurship. I think that can be able to do for the initial introduction.
Yeah.
As we move on. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting you say for how long you've been around.
Yeah.
And whenever I am having conversations with people who have been around, my first question, or I'm always pushed for to ask them, how was it then when you compare then and now? What picture would you paint?
Specifically for persons with albinism, I want to be sincere. For my case, it was not any different.
Yeah.
The only difference was around when I was growing up. School in rural Kenya.
Yeah.
So when we used to go for games, I think I used to attract a lot of kids around me. Some of whom want to pinch me to see whether I can be able to feel pain.
Yeah.
And just crowding around me. I became the center of attraction in most of the events, where we meeting different schools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was my early life. So never felt any different. I would say that because the schools that I went to, kids impressed me, the teachers impressed me. But beyond that is that, I was always the top student. So number one was known to be reserved for me, and
Yeah.
and because of that, I think kids took me to be the Mzungu that I was. Because Mzungus are supposed to be bright and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
Through and through, never felt any discrimination. Interesting for you to notice that I only had the word, or the name albino in Form 1. I never heard about it in my entire life, bright as I was. And, I went to a school which was highly crowded. We were 212 boys in Form 1, and, we went into the first night in Form 1. Boys were making noise, and one of our prefects came around and he was asking, who is that is making noise?
Yeah.
And one of the boys shouted albino.
Yeah.
That's a word that I was hearing about it for the first time, and so the prefect called me.
Yeah.
I thought it was my name. Kumbe, it was my condition that the boy was referring to. And from there on, and things, school again. There was a bit of a downside, after that, after I discovered myself.
Yeah.
But I picked myself up in Form 2, started excelling again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, when it came to my teachers in Form 4, biology, I was, the top student, and, she pulled me aside because she wanted to teach, the class about albinism and, what the condition is all about. And because I was a top boy in biology, she taught me to be able to come to class and teach my colleagues about the condition.
Yeah.
And, through and through, I developed that positivity, and I've come with it to this date. I think you remarked that, I don't always like having the disability tag because, that tag, I never carried it all along. After that, I went to Moi University for my undergrad in IT, and I think I was given an opportunity, by colleagues, my classmates, and, some of whom are notable gentlemen in this country. Just for your information, is that the Senator of Homa Bay was my classmate, and such
That is Mr. Kajwang.
Yeah, Senator Kajwang. So these guys also impressed me and supported me through and through we worked closely with them, and after that I went into employment, and been around for this
some
one,
time.
more than 20 years in private sector, and also working for government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is something that you have just affirmed that I've believed for the longest time, and what I tell young boys with albinism that I meet with, I always tell them, hey, nobody's going to feel sorry for you,
Yeah.
but if you have a negotiating chip
Yeah.
with people, with amongst the people that you are with,
Yeah.
you will be okay.
Yeah.
Would you help me reiterate that to them? Because they look at me and we are somewhat at the same level. They're like, you don't know what you're talking about. So
Right.
probably a big brother would be able to nail it home.
Sure. And,
Yeah.
and I think you've said it very well. You know that I always tell people, when I see them begging, feeling pity for themselves, is that nobody owes you a duty of sympathy. The world out there is highly competitive.
Yeah.
And you owe it to yourself to be able to exert yourself in terms of the communities, the people that you engage with, when you go into meetings or into social gatherings. Do you sit back and wait for people to speak, or you can be able to be the person that goes ahead and takes on responsibilities? It's all about Kiswahili or Sheng tunasema kujituma.
Yeah.
Jitume in terms of being proactive. When you see opportunities, can you be able to look out for someone who will be able to hold your hand and pull you up? Don't sit there, send messages about things that you're waiting for government to be able to do for you, because that government will not care. Because if you look at it from a legislation perspective, or the constitutional requirement is that essentially 5% of employment should go to PWDs.
Yeah.
And government is employing every other day, because I've been part of government. And there is no deliberate step in terms of pushing for that inclusion. That 5% quota, someone says that it's going to be progressive. And you see, when they say progressive, is right now Nzomo doesn't have a job today. When you say progressive, does he get a job in 2030 when you want to push for that quota? Those are lost opportunities, and because we're talking about humans.
Yeah.
When you're speaking about humans, you cannot say about progression. Beyond that is the area of education and skills development for our youth, especially persons with albinism. And I always challenge us that we seem to have a default career, which is
Teaching.
special education teaching.
Yeah. And actually, that's where I was going to go.
And I had a discussion with the PS a while back, the current PS during the former regime.
Yeah.
And I asked him, why is it that our universities only see us as teachers? All of us we are capable differently.
Yeah.
Yes, teachers are good, and because they're the ones who nurtured us. But there's a bigger world out there, which is unexplored. Our friends who've done engineering, friends who've been in the medical field, in medicine, and they've been able to do their best in those fields. Here at Enable, and last year, I saw developers, some of the guys who can be able to do code that I cannot be able to develop as as an IT professional. So it's about all these opportunities being open to us, and for us to see why is it that we can be able to plug in and fend for ourselves, give dignity to our lives, and move from that self-pity mechanism. So I think the challenge is go out there, be proactive, look for peers. I've always said that I'm very much available. For people that reach out to me, is just to tell them this is what you need to do. And I've said about skilling. After I did my first degree, almost 20 years later, I realized that that first degree is not good enough, and an MBA. I need to do a PhD because the world is competitive. I want to secure my future and my job, so that when opportunities arise, then someone does not give an excuse that for this one you require a PhD. You're not qualified, because it's very easy. It's very easy for someone to knock you off on
out
a short
of those
list,
technicalities,
because they don't want to tell you that we think that you're not capable because of your albinism. They'll now get an excuse about other things, and I always say that we have a bigger capability in our brains. Us as Wazungus, one of the things that it's practical. Tunasomea hapa, kitabu unasomea hapa. And I've always told people that it's because of proximity to the mind. It sticks much faster, much better,
rather than putting it here.
Ukiweka huko masomo iko mbali.
Kuna barrier hapa.
Yeah, there's a barrier. So bring it closer.
It
sticks a lot better, and I think God and, it's statistics are there. There's a young girl called Godaline, and, she was top in this country,
Yeah.
meaning that God has packed us with an IQ that is,
So high.
higher than normal.
Yeah.
Dr. Chooks keeps telling me that persons with albinism have a higher IQ than black people. Probably research has not been done, but
Yeah.
that's what I also believe.
She has the experience. She's been working in the space for over 20 years.
Absolutely.
She's a doctor well celebrated across the globe. So probably
Absolutely.
who could not take her word?
Yeah.
Yeah. You spoke about the aspect of teaching,
Yeah.
and you said that we all don't need to become teachers.
Yeah.
So at what point do you become interested in technology, IT? By that particular time, did the home or the household that you grew in, did it expose you to that, or where did that idea come from?
Absolutely not. My dad is an engineer, so the default career for me was engineering, and that's what I went to Moi University to do. And that's when I discovered there was IT. It's an area because back then in schools, career counseling was not there. Know. So I started off because I was strong in all sciences. I wanted to be a doctor. One of the teachers discouraged me because of my eyesight, and so I defaulted into what my dad does, and I realized it was even much more worse than even doing medicine. My eyes could not be able to allow me to read small font and stuff like that in mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
So I went into IT. Did that, enjoyed it, but after that, I took like 8 years to practice IT, because my first career was in banking, and went in there. I enjoyed myself serving customers, and it was really fun. Then I found my way into telco, where essentially I started practicing my IT knowledge. So it's about, if you ask me about careers, it's those opportunities being kids getting exposed to what else is out there. What else can you be able to do beyond? Because I think most of us is the role modeling that we were taught by teachers who are focused on special education. They became so close to us because most of the teachers in special education teach with a lot of passion, and compassion, and affinity. They want you to be able to succeed, and also treating you with a lot of care. So that skewed interest. And it became almost a default, because there's a faculty in KU that does special education. So it formed, our teachers now formed the social funnel, for those faculties to be able to get students. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
As you're doing these shifts in your careers,
Yeah.
are there any hurdles you're coming across? Like getting your first job in banking.
Yeah.
There is a lady, Shaz Vitiligo. I don't know if you've heard about Wangoi Nje. We had a conversation with her yesterday, and she told me that she literally quit her job because of how people would stare at her.
Right.
While she was telling at a bank station.
Right.
For you, how was it for 8 years? How do you brave through that?
I think for me, and again, the experience is all different.
Yeah.
So from right from recruitment, yes, back then there was very little information about the condition, and people never used to understand, because I went through an eye checkup, and it's actually the doctor who told me that for this bank, I know the requirement, and I'll just write a report. I know that your eyesight cannot be corrected, but I'll just write a report to say that your eyesight is normal with specs.
Yeah.
And I went in there, I did cashiering, one of the things that I did, and because and that's why I'm saying about mental capabilities of
Person with albinism, yeah.
is that I mastered customers' accounts numbers. When a customer appears there, I knew their number, because I read the card and the sticks, I connect to the customer name, and when they come in, I don't need to ask for those details.
Yeah, you just
I
look at
just
them.
ask ningapi unataka, because cashiers ningapi ama umeleta ngapi, and my customers up to this date, I banked some of the guys. One of my friends who is the MP of Embakasi, I think Central.
Yeah.
Major Dom was my customer back then, and I'd forgotten about him. And we were in an event of members of parliament. He's the one who came to me and actually introduced his colleagues and was telling them that huyu ndo alikuwa kashia wangu, and he was a very good guy because I knew his account number,
Yeah.
offered. So I never faced any difficulties from that, from
Yeah.
my first job.
Yeah.
And I think all through is it formed the basis for me to transition into the other jobs that
To the IT.
I've been able to do, because most of them is about headhunting, and because where I go, I exert myself and I excel. Yeah.
Interesting you tell me that, or you share that, because there is another lady called Grace Nzomo, namesake.
Grace is in
Stanchat. She left NCBA, right now she's at Stanchat.
okay. All right.
And she told me exactly the same thing that you said. She was
Right.
like, yeah, we know there is nothing that we can do with our site.
Yeah.
But if you are able to sort of memorize
Yeah.
a couple of things that are about your job,
Yeah.
you will be able to
That's it.
kill it.
That's it. And we become the best, because back then nobody could do more transactions than me in the bank.
Yeah.
Because in my master, customers are coming to me, nilikuwa naona kwa queue, wengine wakisema no,
Nataka ule.
tunataka ule. Yeah, because I used to also serve them with passion, getting to know about what they're doing, and those are the opportunities that also open doors for you to be able to also do other stuff out here. Yeah.
So let us not focus on the other jobs that you've done, but rather focus on this hunger. Where does this hunger come? Dad is an engineer.
Yeah.
That would tell me that family is probably well off. But where does this hunger come from to progress?
The hunger is, is for me to impact and leave a mark, and I've always been about that, so wherever I go, I want to excel. I want to just make that difference, because and coming from society that looks down upon PWDs is for me to prove it otherwise.
Yeah.
And be a case study of when you focus your mind, you can be able to achieve a lot more. Yes, the effort would be threefold, fourfold for you to be able to get to where you are. But if that is what it calls for, please go for it. In high school, my high school, the motto was determination knows no barrier, and I think they put it in that motto because of me. So
You inspired that.
No barrier. I found it there.
Yeah.
But it applied to me. It applied to my case. Yeah.
Family?
Yes. So sure, married. I'm an AIC adherent, so we say one wife.
Yeah.
And these days, because of diversity, the wife is a woman,
Yeah.
and between us we have a son.
Okay.
He's now sitting his final year exams.
Yeah.
Currently ongoing. Yeah.
Where do you think the fear stems from when it comes to relationships and marriages for persons with albinism? I hear there was even an assertion by a prominent person with albinism who said that if you can't find somebody who doesn't look like you, then you can settle with somebody who looks like you.
I think for me is that fear is about inner drive. And it also starts from socialization. How do you socialize? Do you
And
go
how
for events?
well exposed are you?
Do you go for events? Because for me in AIC, we start from youth camps. You do them every April. So go out, for a whole week, interact with the people, and you see that's how they also get to be easy with you, and you also get to be easy with other people. School events, science congress, sports. Get active in sports.
Yeah.
People see you as as easy also to relate with. Go for after school, clubs and activities and the rest of stuff. So when it gets to that, then will it be difficult for you to be able to get someone who looks like you? Absolutely not. And I tell people that we are very handsome. So our girls love the wazungus.
Yeah.
Never face a challenge on that.
Yeah.
So they love wazungus, and for me it was an easy run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how you put it confidently.
Yeah.
That was a home run every other time you tried it out.
Yeah.
Boardrooms, did it feel any different, or you still went in with that assertion that you've spoken about, that, hey, I am here to show you that I can do this thing?
I think that's the attitude, and I've also served in public sector boards. I've been a board director at Kipra.
Yeah.
And one unique thing about that board is that I think we had 5 or 4 professors, and the rest were PhDs. Actually, that was the basis for me to start
Your PhD.
doing my PhD, because
Yeah.
we were only 2 guys who didn't have a PhD.
But you're there because of the work that you've been able to do in that space.
So went in there, exerted myself. Colleagues elected me to be the honorary treasurer. And for the 3 years that I was there, in the SCAC evaluations, there's an organization called SCAC.
Yeah.
I was always number 2
Nationally.
in that board. And,
Yeah.
currently serving in a presidential task force as a vice chairperson to modernize one of the oldest institutions. It's a 128-year-old institution in this country, using technology that was procured in the 1930s. And I've been able to leave my mark there.
Yeah.
So it's about the attitude that you come with. One, because you brought there on merit. A lot of times, when you look different from people, you may go there with the attitude that ni kama nilihurumiwa nikuje hapa.
Senator, current government spokesperson spoke about the same thing.
Yeah, ni kama nilihurumiwa, like you are not rightfully there. So when you go there, then you start feeling like wacha hawa waongee. Then wait for your turn to be last. So for me, it's about that. It's about ensuring that my voice is heard, and I don't go there with the leaning towards I came there on a disability. One, I do my work, but beyond that is I show value. And through that showing value, one of the things that I've pushed for, and Kipra, in Kipra, they actually introduced sign language as a requirement for staff to learn.
Yeah.
And we brought in someone that is using sign language in there.
Yeah.
As part of the diversity and inclusion. To ensure that these people can be able to relate with this person. And for the 4 years that the person has been there, they've proved their worth. Yes, I use sign language, but the work that I'm assigned, I can be able to deliver on the assignment. You don't need to pity me, you don't need to sympathize with me, and I think that's the attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're big on technology, but now let us transition into assistive technology, because I believe it has been also an enabler for you in the work that you're doing. Long term, how do you make this thing affordable for persons with disabilities on a large scale?
I think it has to do with number one, affordability is an aspect that encompasses a lot of other things, but mainly it's about taxation and where government needs to come in, because I've seen that you have a beautiful device. I suspect that you bought it at a premium.
Yeah.
And that premium came because of highly about taxation. Government has not incentivized to provide for some of these equipment.
Devices, yeah.
And there's the role of government also, based on those taxes, availing this equipment to persons with disabilities. As a tool to enable them to be able to do a lot of tasks. Because technology is the biggest equalizer. Makes us all equal, as no equal. Because I've given an example of those young people who are doing coding.
Yeah.
If we have hundreds, tens of thousands of these enabled to be able to do some of these works, organizations like Google, Microsoft, they have development centers, research centers. They can be able to tap into some of this talent, empower them to be able to now work in the mainstream ICT sector. Beyond that is, in terms of assistive technology, is the role of AI. We've seen at the moment that
very big.
You essentially in the next 2 years will not require a white cane. You'll have a wearable device that can be able to
that
use,
is able to guide you
that
where
can
you're
be able
going.
to guide you, obstacles, and be able to guide you in terms of navigation. Beyond that is interpreting speech into content that people that can be able to understand.
Yeah.
And be able to run their lives independently, because that independence,
Is what
autonomy
everybody's
is what we
striving for.
require. But beyond that is the economic opportunity, and ICT has been seen as one of those sectors where we can apply ourselves and be able to serve actively in the economic development of our country. Yeah.
But there are still those who are looking at artificial intelligence as if it's going to bring a doomsday. Is this something that worries you?
Not quite. Every technology comes with those perspectives about naysayers. What do they feel about it? But it's purely science. AI is essentially pushing the technology beyond the limits of physics, where you can be able to do simulations. In medicine, you can be able to simulate and ask a protein whether, are you happy? Can you be able to cure this ailment based on parameters that will be specified? And many different other sectors, in weather forecasting and climate change. You can be able to do, what we're calling digital twins, simulate the Earth and be able to do all these things about weather forecasting and plan better for disasters and stuff like that. So for me it's about positivity, and there's a whole world out there, and what generative AI has done is that it's essentially made us all programmers. We can be able to prompt a computer and be able to get
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT and stuff like that. And then probably because we are talking about technology, is that the next biggest thing and careers are going to be in an emerging field called prompt engineering. Because if you are proficient in prompting
Then you're keen.
AI,
then
you can be able to get the desired output. Yeah.
Your three nuggets of wisdom that you will leave with people who have been watching us.
Yeah. For the people out there who are watching us, is number one, is to have purpose in life. But beyond the purpose is get the drive to be able to do and exert, and you'll be able to get the results. Beyond that is for us who are at positions where we can be able to mentor, coach, let's do it. Let's bring up persons that look like us, to be at a position where they can be able to be confident, to serve actively in economic empowerment, and to support their lives and livelihoods.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. It's been great having you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
And I will definitely look out for you
Right.
on the mentorship rallying call.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very much available.
Okay. Thank you
Thanks-
very much,
thanks a lot.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
For watching.
Yeah.
My reminder is like this conversation, share it, as well as do not forget to subscribe.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the This That podcast by Include 360, recorded live at the Inclusive Africa Conference 2024 in Nairobi. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with one of the remarkable participants. If you found this episode insightful, please share it with your friends and colleagues. And do not forget to subscribe to our podcast for more inspiring stories and interviews from the conference. Until next time, keep celebrating inclusivity and innovation across Africa.